welcome to Ad Astra. This mod is a space mod that focuses on traveling and exploring other planets such as the Moon, Mars, Venus, and Mercury. So how do we get started? Before building your first rocket, we should go over some basic items and blocks and how to get them. The first is the hammer, which is crafted with iron and sticks and can be used to make iron plates. Iron plates are the basic material used in a large variety of crafting recipes, so you'll be creating these pretty often. The next is the coal generator, which burns coal into energy to power some of the other machines that this mod will give you. One of those machines being the compressor, which processes ingots into plates. And this can be used to process multiple things, but to start out, it can be used to process iron into iron plates, to automate the iron plate production instead of using a hammer, or steel ingots into steel plates, which are used in the first rocket that you'll create. So how do you get steel ingots? Simply smelt iron ingots into a blast furnace, and you'll be given steel ingots, which you can turn into steel plates. Now that you know the basic materials and blocks, it is time to create the main parts to build a rocket. The first is the NASA Workbench, which is a crafting bench for rockets. The next is the Launchpad, used to place your rocket. It's a good idea to make 2 of these so you can place another one of these to fly from the moon back to Earth. Now that you've made all of the extra items, it's time to make the rocket itself. You'll need the following: 1 rocket nose cone, 6 steel blocks, 4 rocket fins, 2 steel tanks, and 1 steel engine. Once you have all of these, place them inside of the NASA workshop, and it will craft the Tier 1 rocket. After that, just place your rocket on the launch pad, and you are almost ready to fly. Before we can take off, we need to fuel the rocket. The first fuel is oil, which is found in large amounts all over the ocean surface. I recommend collecting at least 6 buckets of oil, as that is how much is needed to launch and return back to Earth. You will need to refine this oil into fuel, which can be done by creating a fuel refinery. Placing the fuel refinery, power it with a coal generator, and place the oil inside to create fuel. Then shift-click on the rocket to open its inventory and place 3 buckets of fuel into the input slot, and then place the other 3 buckets into the rocket's inventory for a return trip. Feel free to put your extra launch pad as well in here so that you can return back to Earth. There's one more crucial thing that you are going to need, and that is oxygen. In order to supply yourself with oxygen, you're going to need a spacesuit. This can be crafted using steel ingots and plates and all of the items I showed how to create in the beginning. But once the suit is created, we'll need to fill the suit with oxygen. To obtain oxygen, it must be extracted from water. An oxygen loader is required to do this. Simply craft the oxygen loader, place water in the tank, and watch it convert to oxygen. You might have to repeat this process a few times. I recommend if you have other mods that can pump water, feel free to use that to automate this process. Once it's filled with oxygen, feel free to extract it by collecting it inside of your spacesuit, oxygen tank, or even a bucket. Prior to traveling to the planet, here's a checklist of some items that I recommend bringing: 3 buckets of fuel, 1 launch pad, tools and a sword to fight mobs, a few extra oxygen tanks for more oxygen, food, and either glowstone or soul torches, as regular torches will not work on the planets. Grab all your items, hop inside your rocket, and press spacebar to take off. When you travel to the planet, make sure to hold space to stop. If you don't, you'll die in impact. Congratulations, you just reached the moon. 1 planet's already done. Next, we're going to go over all of the brand new things that you now have access to because you have access to the moon. But if you want to return back to Earth, simply open up the lander by shift right clicking, collect the rocket fuel and the launch pad, then punch the lander and set up the launch pad, place the rocket down, and fill it up with fuel. Then press space to fly back to Earth. However, now that you have access to the moon, you can find and create several different items, blocks, and even vehicles, all of which use the new materials found underground on the moon called Desh. Desh will allow you to make things like space stations, tier 2 rockets, and more. You might have also run into Lunarians, which are essentially villagers that live on the moon, which have unique trades. You can also run into the Lunarian wandering traders that appear on the moon and other planets. They have many rocket-related trades that can save your life, including launch pads, oxygen, fuel, etc. You can also now craft the Rover. The Rover is a land vehicle capable of driving on rough terrain on moons and other planets. You also have access to space stations, which space stations are a pre-built structure that is created in the planet selection screen as long as you have the necessary materials. Space stations will provide the ability to place blocks in the orbit of a planet or moon and are designed to be expanded upon. In order to survive on a space station, you should create an oxygen distributor. The oxygen distributor distributes oxygen in a sealed room, allowing any life inside to survive. It works exactly like an oxygen loader, where you insert water into the tank, but instead of giving oxygen, it just places it inside of the room. If you also create a water pump, you can make the oxygen distributor run infinitely. To use it, place an infinite water source below, then place the water pump above one of the water blocks. Next, place the oxygen distributor adjacent to create the oxygen, And the last step will be to power these new blocks, which you can actually do with a coal generator or the new blocks called solar panels, which are an upgraded version of the coal generator which produces more energy per tick while being self-reliant. Its power generation depends on the planet's distance from the sun and fog, and because of this, it's more efficient to place solar panels close to the sun. Solar panels also produce more energy in orbit, so it is recommended to place them on your space station instead of a planet. Feel free to create steel cables or Desh cables, as well as a wrench, to now be able to transfer energy in long ranges. The difference between the two cables is that Desh has a higher transfer rate of energy. Now that you've powered your system and have oxygen inside of your space station, you're going to need to vent it if you want to have multiple rooms. In order to make sure your base has proper ventilation so oxygen does not get blocked when a door is closed, you should create a 1-block gap in between walls or use a vent block to allow oxygen to flow between rooms. Now that you've created a space station and have explored the moon, it's time to travel to Mars. Similar to traveling to the moon, you'll need to create a new rocket. This time, instead of steel materials, you'll create materials with Desh. You'll need to create 1 rocket nose cone, 6 Desh blocks, 4 rocket fins, 2 Desh tanks, and 1 Desh engine. Same thing, create the rocket and make sure to have 3 extra buckets of fuel and 1 extra launching pad inside of the rocket. Hop in and travel to Mars. Now that you landed on Mars, your main goal is to collect as much Ostrum as possible to get to Venus and Mercury. Ostrum can also be used to craft several new items and blocks. This includes a Netherite spacesuit, which features permanent fire resistance, more protection, and the ability to survive on Venus and Mercury. You can also craft a Cryo Freezer, which introduces a new way of obtaining a better fuel called Cryo Fuel. Cryo Fuel is much more efficient than refined fuel, allowing you to launch a rocket with just 1 bucket instead of 3. It's created by collecting ice shards, which are found as an ore underground on cold planets. Then placing the ice shards into the cryo freezer, and it will convert to 25 millibuckets of cryo fuel. Alternatively, you can also convert ice, packed ice, and blue ice to fuel. You can also use cryo fuel as a way to damage anything that touches it, similar to lava. It also freezes water, allowing for an infinite ice source. Another new block is the Energizer. The Energizer is a machine capable of powering items and storing large amounts of energy. To charge an item, simply power the Energizer and right-click with an item on the Energizer. It stores 2 million energy and will retain its energy when broken. You also now have access to fluid pipes, which can extract liquid from blocks to pump to machines. Simply use a wrench on a pipe to either select it to normal, insert, or extract mode to configure your system to what you need. Just like the cables, you can make both Desh and Ostrum pipes, with Ostrum having a faster transfer rate. In order to travel to Venus or Mercury, make sure that you have crafted the Netherite spacesuit and crafted the following blocks so you can build a Tier 3 rocket. You will need 1 rocket nose cone, 6 Ostrum blocks, 4 rocket fins, 2 Ostrum tanks, and 1 Ostrum engine. Same thing, make sure to have fuel and a launch pad and fly to Venus or Mercury. The next goal is to look for Calorite, which is used to craft the ultimate rocket capable of traveling to a new solar system. You can also now craft the jet suit, which is an upgraded version of the Netherite spacesuit with more protection, additional oxygen storage, and flight. To charge your jet suit, simply right-click on the Energizer and you'll be good to go. To craft the Tier 4 rocket, you'll need the following: 1 rocket nose cone, 6 Calorite blocks, 4 rocket fins, 2 Calorite tanks, and 1 Calorite engine. You probably know how to do this by now, but place the rocket on the launch pad, fuel it, and fly to the final planet inside of Proxima Centauri called Glacio. Glacio is brutally cold, but has oxygen, allowing you to survive there without a spacesuit. As of right now, Glacio is the last planet that can be explored and is the end of Ad Astra's progression. However, if this has changed, I'll have the sequel of this video pop up on the screen now, so feel free to go watch that so you can continue the story. If not, thanks so much for watching, and feel free to go check out the video below where I cover everything about productive bees, including how to automate diamonds.